रास्ता आपको मिलेगी। बहुत मजबूत नींव स्किल इंडिया मिशन की इस देश में पड़ी है। भारत के इन प्रयत्नों पर भारत के अंदर और भारत के बाहर लोगों का आकर्षण बढ़ा है। रोजगार और उद्यम की सारी संभावनाएं यदि आज बनी हुई है तो उसमें स्किल इंडिया डिपार्टमेंट से, स्किल इंडिया मिशन से भी उनका सीधा नाता है।
I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries for this discussion. The panelists for this session are Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar, Chief Program Officer at NSDC, and Mr. K. Veer Raghav Rao, Managing Director of TNSDC. I would now like to introduce the moderator for this session, Dr. Praveen Saxena. Dr. Praveen Saxena is the Chief Executive Officer of Skill Council for Green Jobs at Skill India Mission. Dr. Saxena superannuated as the advisor in Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and Director General of National Institute of Solar Energy in 2015. He is an international expert with enriched experience of providing leadership and strategic vision on energy policy, institution building, and consultancy to other countries in renewable energy. He is also involved in planning and coordinating with in-house as well as multilateral partners on energy, promoting knowledge and management through publications in international journals, networking and capacity building, and research and development. Recently, Dr. Saxena was conferred with the International Business Leadership Innovation Excellence Award by Institute of Economic Studies by the Government of Malaysia. He has over 50 research publications in international journals and has represented India's interests in renewable energy in various multilateral organizations as well as international forums. I now hand the stage and this discussion over to you, sir. Dr. Saxena, you're on mute.
Am I audible? Shruti, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm extremely sorry. I think there is some difficulty. I would temporarily keep my video off when I am speaking. And thank you very much for inviting me as moderator to this session on government initiative to bridge supply demand, role of states in Skill India mission. Thank you very much. Dear audience, I'm very pleased to inform that we have a very enriched panel today. We have Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar. She is the main architect of various programs being implemented by National Skill Development Corporation. Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar is the main lead team in NSDC. She has been working on various programs in NSDC, including research, marketing analysis, and more so, in fact, quality assurance and the qualification packs, what we see as the backbone of Skill India mission. She has 27 years of experience in financing, banking. She has been the most important role she has played in the World Bank as far as the skilling is concerned. The most important and the interesting thing is that she is from one of the most prestigious college of Delhi, St. Stephen's College, Delhi University, and she has done her MBA from IIM Calcutta. Welcome, Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar, and we are looking forward for your enriched experience. The second panelist today with us is Mr. Veer Raghav Rao. He is Managing Director of Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation. Mr. Rao is IAS officer of 2007 batch, and he has been district collector for various districts in Tamil Nadu. In fact, what I saw from his profile today was that he is the person who has been really attached to the ground, and we will have his experience today to know what actually happens on ground. And he has been attached with the skilling program for quite some time. He has been conferred with the Honorable President of India ICI Award. In fact, I see a list of awards he has received from President, Chief Minister, Vice President, and more so that for us, actually, for this session, most important is that he is looking after a state government skill development corporation, one of the most important states in skilling, and he has his own experience as to how states would handle this program. Thank you very much, both the panelists. I heartily welcome both of you. As far as the today's discussion is concerned, how government is planning to bridge the supply and demand gap. In fact, this has been one of the most important aspect of skilling. Are we able to bridge the gap between supply and demand? Supply from the manpower, which we have abundant in our country, and demand from our industry. Skilling has always been looked at bridging that gap of what industry wants and what we are able to supply to them. From my olden days, I have been hearing that industry is not getting what they want from our education or from ITI system or many other systems. Is skilling able to bridge that gap? That is a one question. And if so, how we have planned our programs and how now states would see. First of all, I would like to come to Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar, who is at the moment looking at various, in fact, she has an experience of seeing this program from last 5 years or so, seen PMKVY 2, PMKVY 3, and probably she is also very much involved in planning PMKVY 4. So I would request Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar to first share her experience in the past PMKVY 2 and 3 as to how it progressed and how we have been now planning to move to PMKVY 4.
Thank you, Dr. Saxena, and it's a privilege to be part of this panel. And I'd like to congratulate firstly the Indian Plumbing Skill Council for all the excellent work they've been doing. And thank you for the very warm introduction. I think it's a very important topic that we have today. This is a theme and an issue that has been in debate and deliberation at various fora across the years. And this whole challenge of matching demand and supply is really at the center of a lot of the interventions being planned, both in skilling as well as in education to some level now. When we look at the programs that, especially the national government program on PMKVY, I think there has been a gradual evolution in the nature of the program, and the key of this is how do we establish the connect between programming happening of skills interventions with the ground reality, which is very, very diverse in our country's context. So if we look at PMKVY 1, it began as a very centralized intervention. It was purely run from the central side, NSDC led that. It was just a one-year program. And that in a way was, I would say, a proof of concept, the way it was designed and run. And that led to the design and creation of PMKVY 2, which was a far more ambitious intervention. And it envisaged a role for state governments as part of that program. 25% of the scheme targets were assigned to states, mainly for the short-term training. And that actually was a way to spread the idea of skilling and training programs under government funding across the country. Over the 4 or 5 years that PMKVY 2 program has been in implementation, I think we've seen a very significant change in the adoption of skill programs across the country by different states. Many states have actually picked up many ideas from that, and of course developed their own design elements and taken forward skilling initiatives in their own contexts as per their requirements. And some others are still at a relatively early stage of developing those institutional capacities. But the important thing was that the state played an important role in spreading awareness about the PMKVY2 program, and also to align it with many of the other programs, national or state level, which were taking place in their particular contexts, whether it was the Jan Dhan program, the entrepreneurship related program, Startup India, and even things like Kaushal Melas, which were meant to establish Better Placement Connect. State governments had a fairly active role to play. Now, this whole effort which PMKVY2 did to engage states has now been taken forward in PMKVY3, which is again a relatively limited intervention as of now. In a way, it's kind of an interim program till we roll out the next phase, which is PMKVY4. But the principles of involving states has been taken further in PMKVY3, and that is basically, in fact, taken it right up to the district levels. And under PMKVY3, we have a bottom-up approach, which is envisaging district skill committees, which were created under a World Bank intervention, and have them play a very active role in mobilizing candidates, counseling them, and thereafter, in fact, before that, even identifying which are the job roles in which the skilling needs to take place. MSDE had a very strong view that we need to activate the districts and states in articulating what are the kind of areas in which they require skilling, because this was a point on which there had been a lot of feedback that had been received by the ministry. So the input has to come from the districts on what are the job roles on which training needs to be provided. So 25% again is envisaged to be done under the state component, but even under the central component, the states and districts will be contributing significantly to what kind of trainings will take place. And apart from that, in the state component, there is also been addition of the RPL component, which was not there in the previous PMKVY2. So it's extended the various program components further into in PMKVY3, where states can even take forward RPL interventions. I think this is a very important evolution of the program. It was necessary, and it actually follows a pattern which is seen in other sectors as well, where a national government program initiates a program with a certain design agenda and advocacy on a particular sector intervention. And then in time, states adopt many parts of it, build their institutional capacities, evolve it as per their requirements, and that in a way takes the program to a point where it is more relevant and customized to local requirements. So this is where we are at right now. And I think apart from that, one of the important themes that has been discussed at length is how do we have greater convergence? So if Ministry of Skill Development has this scheme, METI might have a scheme which has a target of providing future skills for their IT sector. Ministry of Food Processing might have their intervention for enabling food processing entrepreneurship. How do we provide more convergence across ministries and ensure that the outcome is therefore more 2 + 2 is actually 5 and not actually 3, the way it happens sometimes because of lack of convergence. So this convergence actually has to take place again at the state and district levels. So under Jal Jeevan Mission, under Swachh Bharat, Saubhagya Mission, a lot of the implementation takes place at the state level. School education, which is a very, very critical part of this. Also, the states have a very crucial role to play. And we see skilling getting integrated into those programs by the states, by the districts, as part of their implementation of those programs. Recently, we have partnered or we've received a request from Government of Madhya Pradesh under Jal Jeevan Mission, where they've asked for implementation of RPL under Jal Jeevan Mission. Now it's for the states to really adopt the national component and integrate it with their state component under a completely separate mission. So I think the states will be continuing to play an increasingly important role as we go forward. I'll add further as we go along, but I think stop here for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vannaji. In fact, one most interesting thing I was seeing when you were speaking is that the last 10 years of skilling program or Skill India Mission program has really catalyzed the institutionalized mechanism in the states. So the main achievement of the Skill India Mission running from the center has been that now all states are so enthusiastic to pick up this program and do that. I'll come back to you again with some more questions which are there in my mind. At the moment, move towards Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, welcome to this panel discussion. And in fact, I can see that you are traveling. And thank you so much for giving us some time to so that we can understand how states are looking at this gradual, I will say, gradual shift from central government scheme to state government, and what roles you are envisaging. What roles you are envisaging to see how states would be able to play a critical role in implementing or making, in fact, Skill India Mission successful. Mr. Rao.
Thank you, sir. And, Sri Dr. Saxena and Madam Vandana and Shruti and all the panelists. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And let me congratulate India Plumbing Skill Council for organizing a fantastic expo and inviting me and other panelists for sharing their experiences with all the participants. So first, excuse me for the inconvenience. I'm traveling. I just attended one of the mega job fair, which has been conducted in Tiruvarur district in Tamil Nadu, which Madam was speaking about job melas across the country. So post-COVID scenario from November onwards, we started conducting various small and mega job fairs in various districts. In the last 3-4 months, we have conducted in around 20 programs. As on date, around 20,000 people have been placed. One such program I have attended today and returning back. So bear with me for the inconvenience. If any connectivity problem also, please bear with me. And coming back to the subject, I'm very happy to hear Madam Vandana speaking about our PMKVY program, which is a grand success in the country. It's in line with our country's Skill India mission, Honorable Prime Minister's vision of Skill India mission, where skilling is very, very important. You know very well that our country is having a huge advantage of youth and a very prime workforce. The problem with us is exactly our system of education, where we are more on theory oriented and practical skill training. There is a gap between industry and the education system. So exactly the skill development programs and missions across the country in various states are exactly trying our best to bridge this gap. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible?
Yeah, absolutely
Am I
fine.
clear?
Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Right. Thank you. So in Tamil Nadu state, to show the example, PMKVY, we have implemented PMKVY 1, 2, and now launched 3. And it's successfully implemented. As it's in the discussion of this panel, it's told the model in PMKVY 3 also changed from top down to bottom up. A lot of role is being given district skill committees, and close monitoring of the training partners is going on. And in Tamil Nadu state, Tamil Nadu skill development corporation is there almost. And since it's in such short-term skill training programs, recognition of prior learning program to brush up the youth, particularly job seekers, in brushing up the skill requirements to suit the industry demand. So exactly, we have run almost more than 8 lakh people have been trained in the special programs of the state government as special allocations are there. And another important thing which we have started, apart from our implementing EMKVI program, Apex Skill Development Centers, which is a very unique thing, particularly covering various important sectors. We started each sector, we have allocated about 20 crores, and we have tied up with the industry partner, lead implementation partner from private sector, who is coordinating and representing the industry, has been given equal stake with the government, and government is sponsoring almost 20 crores for setting up Apex Skills Development Center, which are of the state-of-the-art kind of centers which we are developing in various sectors, including healthcare, automobile, and we have construction and infrastructure, very important, relevant to this, and logistics and banking, finance, and insurance. Coming to this sector, construction infrastructure, a very wide scope is there in the initial presentation. It has been told what is the scope, and next near future, what is the scope of this sector. So accordingly, we have started an Apex Skill Development Center in this construction and infrastructure sector also, so we can understand the demands of the industry. It will be very current. We will have consultations with the industry partners. We'll understand the demands. Another side, we know that the education, all the graduates who are passing out, all the polytechnicians who are passing out, all the ITIs, students who are passing out, or any other people who are passing out from various courses to take up into the industry, the skill gap is going to be met through this special training programs. So this is how we are planning, and we are working on it. And definitely it should be a continuous consultation between the industry demands. We should understand that we should have a designing of the training programs. Accordingly, we will do that. So in that scenario, role of the states is very important, and district also very important. Field, if you see the districts, industry may not be present, but the human resources are present everywhere. So we need to train the human resources across all the districts to meet out the demands of industry at certain places, so that they can be absorbed exactly into the requirements of the industry, so that we can create good employment for all our people and boost the economic development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rao, but I am not going to leave you at this point. I had a very interesting suggestion. For 5 minutes, just think that you are not MD of Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation, and you are a district collector. Okay, because we are all somehow focusing on or pushing that districts should start planning. You have experience. I think 3 or 4 districts you have already experienced. You have been their commissioner and all, and had many other positions. So just forget that you are once again heading the entire state skilling. Go to the district and guide us as to how a district collector would try to aggregate the information of what kind of a skilling is required. Just that perspective would be a very interesting perspective for us.
Sir, I'll be very happy for that, because I've been a district collector all along till recently, almost for about 8.5 years. Only 3 months I am heading our skill development corporation, so I can definitely give a perspective. A district, particularly, sir, madam, and all the panelists and all the audience, see, our country is quite diverse, and district is a unit where we can plan and implement and take policy guidance from the government. So I have worked in 3 districts. One is Tiruvallur, which is suburb of Chennai, between 12 to 16. All the industry, like power sector, chemical industry, logistics, all the hard industry, dirty industry or hard industry, whatever we call, of Chennai was there in Tiruvallur district. I worked in Madurai from 16 to 18, where it is like it has IT, it is manufacturing all, or it's like a moderate industry belt. Recently, I worked in Ramanathapuram district, which is an aspiration district, which is completely backward, hardly any industry except solar power, and rest all is tourism. So if you see all these three districts, it has human resources common. It has engineering students common. It has ITS students common. So though the industry presence is not there across all the districts, the human resources are there across all the districts. So the planning of skilling our human resources should be almost, it not change from district to district. A little variation may be there. So the district skill committees, which have been given very good role under our PMKVY, should plan the district skill development plan. That's also part of our PMKVY program, which is a very good, which is in a very good direction. But the unfortunate problem is district collectors and the district skill training officers should, of course, they will spare. Some district, it all depends on the individual also. We should give adequate time and do a lot of brainstorming on the district skill development plan, which is being prepared. So we should give adequate time for that so that they can plan out their requirements and their strengths and weaknesses and the potential pool of the human resources so that they can plan out various programs. And second, we have variety of programs being given under PMKY, and also scheme is a little flexible, but it should, whenever a district skill committee gives certain kinds of requests and requirements for a skilling from the district, it should be seriously examined and we should accept if it is in good spirit and requirement. That is another thing. Coming back on the industrial demand side, sir and madam, and we have, every area is different. So definitely based on the potential of the area, we should plan that. And across, we should have a cross movement of the human resource pool across the districts, across the states. So that's why our NSDC also started NCVET program where uniform certification, etc., will be of some use for the trained candidates to move across and get jobs. So these are all the very good inputs we get from district. We should give a good weightage for the district skill committees and the people and the in the field. So that will definitely make this program successful. That's the reason why this program also changed this approach from coming to PMKVY 1.0 to PMKVY 3.0. And now the funding also is in the process of decentralizing or devolving. It seems, I expect the process it is going on. So definitely we should give a good weightage for DSC. District, it varies across the country. A lot of potential strengths are there, both on the HR side and also industrial availability.
Thank you very much.
My
Thank you
feedback,
very much.
okay,
It definitely gives us some good idea of how we should plan. Ms. Vandaji, I would like to ask one or two slightly different questions, in the sense we have come out, or we are in the process of coming out from COVID, and this has given us a very new kind of a dimension of skilling being to be sort of partly done through online mode. What is the thought process of Government of India, NSDC, as to how skilling can move from a physical training to online training, one, and how we can move towards more market mode trainings, away from, little away from, I will not say away from, but little away from the conventional way of PMKVY or government supported schemes. So two questions from one, how online, because you have been, I know you have been deeply involved in content development, learning and things like that. So that has been your experience. So how do you think that we should plan, or the country should be ready for skilling partly through online mode? And second question is how the market mode would be seen in the coming years.
So thank you, and it was fascinating to even hear Mr. Rao's views on the district's, perspective. And I'm sure that journey is yet to be, moved forward to a large extent. I'm just adding further to that earlier question in terms of capacity and in terms of providing information guidance to districts. So that, I think, will remain a very important part of the decentralization process. But coming to your question on online learning, actually, that really is going to be the big focus and push going forward, because uh, our country is so large and so diverse that attempting to cover the entire requirement through the brick and mortar format will take decades. And we do need to have now we have much better platforms available for people to access, and the country's population is getting access to the internet at a scale never before. So the opportunities are there both in terms of content getting populated on the internet and access to internet. And I think COVID has just given a whole new impetus to online interface. So at NSDC, we had begun this effort of aggregating online learning resource materials across different platforms, which would be relevant for skill development. And the idea was to try and create a repository at eSkill India platform, which would provide courses that would be relevant for anybody seeking vocational learning. And we're happy to say that over 850 courses have been aggregated from close to 40 partners, ranging from universities to companies like Microsoft, Salesforce, etc. And international entities like Sailor Academy, California State University, and 70% of these courses are free because these entities have offered their content to quite an extent free of cost, keeping in mind the mission mode that is there for the country and the development objectives. Now, the catch is, how do you encourage the youth to learn through these platforms? And the good thing is, through COVID, interest grew. Uh, the enrollments have reached 6.5 lakhs on our platform, and it's clearly a lot of interest. But I think what we know is that there needs to be a blended kind of approach also to be considered, where there is probably a more of a physical practice component that's required. So the work that's underway is to provide frameworks to allow online training to get formalized as part of the curriculum that have been designed by the sector skill councils. So the sector skill councils have done an excellent job in giving feedback on which are the parts of their courses that are amenable to online learning and which are the parts which are needing physical, practical interface. So what's been seen is the theory component, which is there in a lot of the qualifications, is considered to be amenable to being delivered through online mode. And this could be done through virtual instructor-led training classes, which are equivalent to a physical classroom, but done through online platforms. So you have an instructor who's delivering the course, but it could be through pre-designed e-modules, which are video recording, pre-designed templates of presentations, etc., which the student is expected to run through on their own. So both formats of learning can be encouraged. And the good thing is that PMKVY 3 has, for the first time, provided for online learning to be part of the framework. And that was not the case in the previous versions of PMKVY. In fact, RPL also, there is a provision for online RPL, which was again not there earlier. The assessments also are being encouraged to be moved towards online or remote proctored assessments. So in general, I think the effort will be to leverage online platforms to the maximum extent possible, because they are scalable and will be cost effective and are more transparent. But having said that, there are a lot of parts where people do not have digital access with devices of the right kind, and internet has a certain cost. So there we must make sure that the physical connect is provided. So this whole approach is being formulated, and I think on the market side, it's linked partly to the online part also. What we are looking at is, how can we look at co-pay models be encouraged more. So basically, you have right now a situation where the government runs completely free programs, and then there are training programs that are paid for by the student or companies, which is under the market-led model. But there is possibly a case for introducing copay where partly government subsidy is coming into the courses, and partly it's either the student or companies who are paying for it. It's something which we do in a limited way in the special projects window, but it's very small. And this will be needed because under the courses which are required for future skilling, like data analytics or IoT, etc., these are more aspirational courses which will cost more. And it's not going to be feasible for the government to fund that completely free of cost entirely. And it will also be important for students to have a stake in the learning process. So there, these kind of shared paid models would be relevant, and we're exploring that kind of an approach to begin with, with possibly with edX, looking at a few of their courses, if that can be done in a co-pay model. But I think the market-based, pure market-based training programs have a very important role to play because they actually are most closely aligned with what the market requires. And it is very, very important that that part of the skilling ecosystem is nurtured and fostered and is not allowed to be undermined in any way. So that is, I think, something where the industry connect has to be very strongly fostered. And I think the key will be how closely we work with industry in that, because when we work closely with industry, the product will be best aligned to the requirements of the market. And that's when the value proposition is the most. And that's when somebody will be willing to pay for it. Because when you don't have a strong value proposition, nobody is going to be willing to pay for it. So that's, I think, where the key will be. And the, I think, important thing there is to also capture information very closely on what the market requires in terms of the kind of manpower, their attributes on skills. And one of the things which we've done, which the sector skill councils have been contributing actively to, is to capture the job information more actively. And that's something which the ASEEM platform is now giving very rich insights to also. And we think that that would allow us to then program our training activity more closely with where the demand is, and maybe probably tweak the programs where required to specific requirements of industry. So these are things which are still a little more at a nascent stage on how do we bring the strength of government subsidy to what market models do, and also to support market models on their own. Another bit of activity which is underway is to look at generating funds from the market. There are a lot of people and organizations who are interested in supporting skill development, and impact funds are there, philanthropic funds are there, and they would be also very interested in supporting industry-linked programs where the employment connect is very strong. So we are looking at creating vehicles which will allow that kind of funding to be brought in and be channeled towards these kind of and one more quick point I do want to make when you're talking about the role of states. I think the part related to migrant workers is a very important one. And since you're talking in the context of the Plumbing Sector Skill Council, there are certain sectors where work is characterized very much by migration. And if we look at even the ASEEM data, we find that the demand for job roles in the plumbing sector is highest in Maharashtra, Karnataka, while as the training on these is maximum in UP, West Bengal, Punjab, Odisha, which means that manpower will have to move. And as of now, there isn't really systematic infrastructure support systems to enable migrant workers to do that transition without too much stress on them, financial or emotional. And the state governments will have a very crucial role to play to facilitate that migrant workers transition. And I believe Tamil Nadu has done some very, very excellent work in providing those kind of support infrastructure for migrant workers, whether it's hostel facilities or community-based arrangements, which I think are the models which we need to emulate. So states will not just need to look at skilling in a very limited way, but take it right up to the point where they are moving into jobs and make them stay in jobs rather than run back within 1 month after joining a job. So I think states will have a very crucial role there also.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. I'll quickly once again come to Mr. Rao. In fact, on some of the points which Vandana ji has made, to react on that from the state point of view. And secondly, very keen to know as to how is state also thinking of moving to online kind of a skilling activities, partly, at least if not in full, some part of skilling done online, and that also would help us in creating that kind of a digital India enabling situation. So what do you think about it? Is it too premature, or is it too hypothetical, or do you think that yes, it is possible?
It is quite possible. That's the same lines our Apex Skill Development Centers, which I remarked in my opening remarks, are aligned in the same way. Whatever Madam just spoke right now regarding one, development of the content of all the training programs into e-content, and then also taking consultation with the industry, their demands, and then designing courses accordingly. All this part of our Apex Skill Development Centers in important 5 sectors, which we have envisaged, and now we are just starting. Already health and logistics, we have started training also. All the modules which are being developed are e-content also being developed, and that is being launched. But again, this is also a model of blended, like apart from our sponsored training programs under PMKY and our state government's short-term skill training and RPL. These are all charged programs in consultation with the industry and also needed people. And second, coming to the online mode of training, yes, it gives a wide access to all, and the people can access remotely. Nowadays, technology is not a problem. For past 45 minutes, I'm traveling and it's not disconnected. I'm traveling in a rural area only. So that's good. It's a good sign. Little variation across the country, but technological access is there. It's cheap, but it has a limitation. It can reach up to the skilling to a limit. It's again a next level theory, a better theory than the academic. Ultimately, to make all our people fully skilled in work, apart from this, we need to widen. Now we are having a classroom mode of skill training. Either if it is long-term ITIs, we are having a short-term under PMKV or short-term training. RPL, we are having training partners and we are training them. We should upscale it to the next level where industry or any small unit also, when they take the people, they should give a training for a period of time. For example, I recently, 3 months back, my experience I can share. I was collector Ramanathapuram. There, a big hospital, almost it's a medical college is being constructed. It's a project of about 500 crores, all full construction. All the workers have come from, I think, around Chhattisgarh and Bihar, various states they have come. During my inspection, I asked the contractor. I have found certain things, even in that bar bending and making the joints, I have remarked some things. And I said, he is having around 200 workers permanently stationed. During COVID and post-COVID scenario time, they are being stationed there. I asked whether you have given you spared a week time instead of extracting work from them, whether you have spent training them so that the supervisor, the workers on the site, they're going to be there, 200, 300, 400 people, they're going to be on the site for about 5, 6 months or 10 months or 1 year, whatever period. Even in such scenario, it's considerably a good employer where you can run a training program by calling, it need not be a design train, calling an expert engineer from our PWD and a contractor, set of team of people can be there. They can train for a week so that the quality of work of those 400 people would have been far better instead of straight away and letting them onto the job. So these kind of things we need to bring in across the country so that every on-the-site training, very simple, it's a very routine job, a day or 2 or 3 days of training exclusively instead of extracting work, that will change the quality. exactly these kind of things we need to look forward in near future. Apart from online, definitely it will have an access, but ultimately a skilled manpower comes with the hands-on experience, particularly in all this construction and logistics sector. If it is a banking, finance, or if it is something else, they can be, it's a good option for online modes, because data analytics, IT, all this can take on online modes. But whereas coming to the construction, infra, logistics, all healthcare, all these sectors requires, particularly we are speaking in the context of plumbing skill, it requires hands-on definitely. Coming to the migrant workers, madam was also remarking about good work done in Tamil Nadu state and across the country. We have developed a special portal. Instead, we were not, during COVID time also, we were encouraging them to stay back instead. Like if they can stay back, they can stay back. Accordingly, we are providing a lot of facilities like stay facilities, food facilities, provisions we have given. We have tied up toll-free numbers, so many things were done. After that, returning people, Tamil Nadu natives returning from outside, and people who are going from Tamil Nadu to outside, we have developed a full-fledged database. People who are returning, we have developed a database so that we can train them on their skill. So that database has been developed and digitized so that we can map our requirements, and accordingly we can take up the skilling. So migrant workers on both sides, not the Tamil Nadu only recipient. We get a lot of people from Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Jharkhand for construction work, etc. Again, here also people are going to somewhere else, like Gulf or somewhere. I can speak again the experience of Ramanathapuram. It's a 15 lakh population. 1 lakh people are living either in West Asia or in Malaysia or Southeast Asia, working as laborers, cooks, construction workers, drivers, all this. So we can map them. We can give a good skill set. So that's exactly what we have done. When all these people are returning, we have taken the database so that we can design a good skilling program. So that whether they leave country or they stay here back, their skilling, quality and employability and productivity will be better. So these are the aspects which you have been working, will be continuing to do that.
Thank you so much. And we are almost coming to the end of our session. But one very inconvenient question to you. And that is, being in the list of 50-60 items to be done at district level by DM or commissioner, where the skill figures? At what number?
Exactly, sir. Yeah, to be very frank, I was speaking in my previous talk also. In many districts, now at least some concentration is there. And I have almost 2012 onwards up to 2020 November, I was collector. To be very frank, in my first district, this was not a concentrated activity at all. Now the district skill committees have been formed, and now it is taking an importance, but still, again, it is not taking the priority as it deserves at the district collector level, to be very frank, because it's a very important thing. We are not envisaging its importance because it has an indirect impact on our complete productivity and economic growth of our country. So that much importance is not being given in the district. Now with this more and more concentration on this activity by the government, and also formation of district skill committees and regular monitoring, collectors also taking now good interest. And I was working in my last district, in aspiration district. That's why I was concentrating a lot on this. But otherwise, in my previous two districts, to admit very frankly, it was not on my priority list. So the same thing will be applicable for more or less all the collectors across the country.
I'm quite sure. That's why I asked this question to you, because while we all know this thing, but still it's important to once again keep on the question was to him, but the answer was for you, Vandaji, and I'm sure this message we all understand, but this is where we have to probably hit the nail. That yes, that sensitivity has to come at the district level, and a proper planning at the district level is required. I would also like to inform the audience that sector skill councils are all there to support the state activities, and what all we have learned over a period of last 10 years. Cumulative we'll be very happy to pass on that knowledge and information. And I'm quite sure NSDC probably one of the most able organizations to structure the programs in that manner. Thank you very much, both the panelists. If you have any specific last point to be made, Vannaji, anything you would like to say?
Well, I think you said it, that it's really going to be very important for sector skill councils to engage more deeply with the state missions and districts. And from NSDC, we'd be happy to support that interaction process also, and to disseminate information capacity building effort along with the Ministry of Skill Development. So that's what I'd like to just share with you.
Thank you very much, both the panelists. I really appreciate it. It was very, in fact, having less panelists is always good, that at least you are able to extract out what they think about from inside. Thank you very much, both of you. Shruti, up to you now.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We'd like to thank all of you, Dr. Saxena sir, you also, for joining us today. And we're looking forward to seeing all the audience tomorrow again with a lot of activities from IPSC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all the audience.